rare earth metals. Exotic minerals used in loads of products, from phones to batteries to bombs. And China supplies rare earths to the US. But amid the trade war, China has threatened to cut America's rare earth supply. Welcome back to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. What do lanthanum, neodymium, and yttrium have in common? Other than being your ace in the hole during your next game of Scrabble, they're all rare earth metals, also known as rare earth minerals or simply rare earths. There are a total of 17 rare earth metals on the periodic table. Rare earth metals are used in everything from batteries to cell phones to precision-guided missiles.
Rare earths are quite distinct among themselves within that family, but one of the characteristics that they do all share are these fantastic magnetic and conductive properties.
For example, if you combine neodymium with iron and boron, you can make a powerful permanent magnet. Those magnets can be used in things from small headphones to big motors. And one country dominates the market for rare earth metals: China.
You know, Ali, they decided more than a decade ago that it was an incredible strategic asset. Having all of these rare earth minerals they knew would put them in a dominant position to, govern the manufacture of, as you say, everything from missile technology, the guidance systems and magnets that go into guiding the fins of missiles, to the touch screens that we use on our iPhone. They knew that they would be in charge of all of that.
China has around 44 million tons of rare earth reserves. That's twice as much as Brazil or Vietnam, and way more than the United States. In 2018, China produced 70% of the world's supply of rare earths, but that wasn't always the case. There was a time when the US was the world's top producer of rare earths. James Litinsky is the CEO of a capital group that bought the Mountain Pass mine in California after it went bankrupt.
So Mountain Pass, the site that we acquired at a bankruptcy, was from the 1960s through the 90s, was the leading rare earth producer in the world. But essentially in China they have a lot less stringent environmental controls, and so about 20 years ago they took over the industry.
The problem with rare earth production isn't so much the strip mining. That makes for an ugly landscape, but it's a mostly harmless hole in the ground. The real problem is the toxic chemicals used to process the rare earth ore.
It is an incredibly destructive and poisonous process, going through the incredible amount of soil you have to go through to get these minerals out of the earth. And so we just don't abide by those standards. We won't poison our croplands the way China has been willing to.
And if any country is willing to poison its own farmland, it's China. Like in the Chinese city of Baotou, the biggest industrial city in Inner Mongolia. It's home to the ginormous Baogang steel and rare earth complex. Inside the plant, toxic chemicals are used to process the ore and extract the rare earth metals. Then radioactive waste gets dumped in a massive lake of toxic sludge. The BBC calls it a dystopian lake filled by the world's tech lust. Farmers living near Lake Dystopia complain the winds whip up cancer-causing toxin and dumps them on their land, which poisons the soil and water, and causes the farmers' teeth to fall out and their hair to turn white. And now, the US gets 80% of its rare earths from China, including places like Baotou. And even if you don't care about environmental pollution, there's another problem. China is using its dominance of the rare earth market as a weapon in political disputes. Like back in 2010, when China got into a territorial spat with Japan over control of the Senkaku Islands. In retaliation, China hiked rare earth prices 10 times for Japan, the world's biggest buyer of rare earth metals.
100% of our rare earth minerals come from China.
His company makes magnets for laptops and depends on a steady supply of rare earths. By choking off the supply, China put his business in a stranglehold. And then in May of this year, China signaled that it might weaponize rare earths as part of its escalating trade war with the US.
China will meet the reasonable demand of other countries for rare earths. But it would be totally unacceptable to us if these countries were to use rare earths to produce products used against China or to oppress us.
The CCP mouthpiece, The People's Daily, also ran an editorial asking, will rare earths become a counterweapon for China to hit back against the pressure the United States has put on it for no reason at all? The answer is no mystery. Wow, they're not very good at subtlety, are they? Then the Global Times ran this editorial, quoting a senior academic who said the ace in China's hand is a complete ban on exports of rare earths to the U.S., adding that this is not the only way to make the U.S. economy feel pain. The trouble is, weaponizing rare earth exports seems to be backfiring on China. Burned by the rare earth's price hike over the Senkaku Islands, Japan decided to cut its dependency on Chinese rare earths.
Japanese government with Japanese company will collaborate together to looking for other countries like Vietnam, Mongolia, and Central Asia, Kazakhstan.
And then last year, Japan discovered a huge underwater deposit of rare earth metals that will last for centuries. And China, by squeezing supply and causing prices to rise, has also given America the opportunity to free itself from its dependency on Chinese rare earths.
The United States used to be the most important single producing country for rare earths from a single mine called the Mountain Pass Mine.
The Mountain Pass Mine is located in Southern California, near the border with Nevada. After it went bankrupt, the mine was bought by JTL Capital Group, which hired more people and invested in the facility.
We bought the facility out of bankruptcy in 2017. At the time, it had 8 employees, and it was in care and maintenance. Over the last 2 years, we've been doing a ramp up in 2 stages. Over the last 2 years, we've hired 200 people, so we've created 200 American hard-working jobs.
But what about the toxic pollution? Well, it turns out the mine's previous owner invested in a cutting-edge facility that allows rare earth processing with minimal environmental impact.
One good thing they did is that they spent $1.7 billion building a state-of-the-art, environmentally friendly facility.
Right now, the plant only makes a rare earths concentrate that it ships to China for processing. But within a year, its owner says Mountain Pass will be fully decoupled from China.
At that point, we will be fully self-sufficient from China and one of the major global producers in the world.
So it turns out, by weaponizing rare earths, China may have inadvertently shot itself in the foot. By restricting its own exports market, it is helping the U.S. become rare earth self-sufficient. And by shifting the refineries to America, it's also better for the environment. This is what I call win-win non-cooperation. So what do you think about how China's weaponizing rare earth exports has backfired? Leave your comments below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.